Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students, hope you are doing okay. Today, inshallah, we are going to talk about a new lesson, and we would like to start a new chapter which talks about the sounds of language. The sounds of language. So let's have a look on the topics to be covered for today. Of course, the sounds of language, chapter 3, phonetics, the sounds of the sound of spoken language. The topics or the subtopics to be covered for today, we have International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. We have phonetics, we have English consonant and vowels, we have organs of speech, voiced and voiceless sounds, place of articulation, and manner of articulation for the consonants. And at the end, we have consonant chart. Okay, so let's start. The sounds of language. The sounds of language. Okay, it says here that the sounds of spoken English do not match up with the letters of written English. So sounds of the language or of English language do not match with the letters of English. That's to say, there is no one sound, one simple principle. Again, there is no one sound. Again, there is no one sound, one simple principle. It means there is no one-to-one correspondence between the letters and the sounds of English. Yes. So in Arabic we can say that الأحرف فيش تماثل، ليس هناك تماثل. ما في تماثل بين الأحرف وبين الأصوات. Okay, and that's why it is a flow back. هذه نقص. This is نقص, a flow back. Okay, so again, the sounds of the spoken language do not match up with the letters of the language itself. That's to say, there is no one sound, one simple principle, or there is no one-to-one correspondence. There is no one-to-one correspondence between letters and sounds in most languages. Okay, so this is a flow back. A good example is same letters. We have the same letters sometimes, but we have different sounds, like tough and rough, O-U-G-H. Okay, we have the word, for example, thought, boat. Okay, O. So O-U-G-H, bow. This is bow. Okay, so we have the same letters, O-U-G-H, but they are pronounced differently. Okay, different letters, but same sounds. We have, for example, blue and stew. The same sounds, but the different letters. Okay, and so on. Okay, for example, we have the word pizza. The word pizza. Okay, it has, in pronunciation, it has got the letter, or we pronounce the letter T, even though it is not written. In the written form, it is not there. So it is pizza. It is pizza. Okay, if we cannot use the letters of the alphabet in a consistent way to represent the sounds we produce, how can we describe the sounds of a language like English? So there is no real representation for the sounds we produce. Okay, so if the case is like that, how can we describe the sounds of a language like English? Okay, so what is the solution? What is the solution? فيش تماثل بين الصوت وبين الأحرف. أحيانا in many examples, like for example, large, like we have many words, we have final E at the end of words, of many words, final E الأخيرة في الكلمات ما بتنفض، وبالتالي في عندنا أمثلة كثيرة في ماتشنج عندنا بين الكتابة أحرفا، كتابة الأحرف والصوت. Okay, and the like. Okay, one solution is to produce a separate alphabet with symbols that represent sounds. Okay, so what is the solution? To invent, okay, or produce a separate alphabet with symbols that represent sounds. What is that alphabet? It is the International Phonetic Alphabet. Okay, such a set of symbols does exist and is called the phonetic alphabets, in which each symbol represents a sound. Each symbol represents a sound, okay? So phonetic alphabet, one symbol for each sound. One symbol for each sound. So this is the solution, okay? These sounds are, or these symbols are called the International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA. IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, متفق عليها عالميا. أصوات، okay, رموز صوتية متفق عليها عالميا هذه. Okay, these International Phonetic Alphabet are used to symbolize all sounds of all languages. We will look at how these symbols are used to represent both consonants and vowel sounds of English words. Consonant and vowel sounds of English words, okay? So these International Phonetic Alphabets are internationally known and agreed upon, okay? Each sound or each symbol represents a sound. Each symbol represents a sound. Okay, IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, is an alphabetic system of phonetic representation based primarily on the Latin alphabet. So, what is the IPA? Of course, it is the International Phonetic Alphabet. It is an alphabetic system of phonetic representation. Of course, there are systems of phonetic representations. Based on what? Based on the Latin alphabet, of course. It was devised, it was invented by the International Phonetic Association as a standardized representation of the sounds of a spoken language. A standardized representation, okay? متعارف عليه دوليا, standard يعني, okay? So, this is done actually. Let's move to the definition of phonetics, okay? Okay, these are, of course, the phonetic symbols. Like this is sh, this is j, okay, this is ich, this is j, okay? So these are the sounds represented by these symbols, okay? These are symbols. Each symbol represents a sound. Each symbol represents a sound, okay? Okay, so we are done here. Let's go to phonetics. What is phonetics? We have already given many definitions for phonetics. Phonetics is defined as the study of the characteristics of speech sounds. Okay, it's that branch of linguistics which studies or which focuses on the characteristics of speech sounds. It provides methods for their description, classification, and transcription. يعني بتتضمن description وصف الصوت, classification تصنيفهم, and transcription. Transcription, this is transcription, transcribed, okay? يعملوا transcription يعني اعطيه الصوت واكتب لي اياه بالفوناتيك بالانترناشونال فوناتيك alphabet. This is transcription, and it is usually, this transcription is usually put between brackets or 2 slashes. We are going to talk about this. هنتكلم عنه إن شاء الله في المرات القادمة. Okay, so it studies the characteristics of the speech sounds. Like what? Like methods for their description, the description of the sound, وصفوا لي, place of articulation, manner of articulation, okay, classification of sounds, and transcription. Okay, our main interest will be in articulatory phonetics. What is articulatory phonetics? It is that type of phonetics which is the study or which focuses on how speech sounds are made or articulated. It means that we have different types of phonetics because we have articulatory phonetics. We have articulatory phonetics. It means that we have other types of phonetics. Yes, of course. We have acoustic phonetics and auditory phonetics, okay? So the main interest will be in articulatory, which is concerned with what? With the speech sounds, how the speech sounds are made, how the speech sounds are made or articulated. And that's why they are articulatory, how they are articulated, are produced, okay? Because articulation is production, or when articulation is the verb, is the noun from articulate. It means to speak. Articulation is speaking. I mean articulators, I mean organs of speech that are used in speech, okay, or in speaking. Okay, so we have articulatory phonetics, which is the study of how speech sounds are made or articulated or produced. Other areas of the study are acoustic phonetics. It deals with the physical properties of speech, الخصائص الفيزيائية of speech للصوت, because it's acoustic, okay? So it focuses on the properties of a speech, the physical properties of a speech as sound waves in the air, as sound waves in the air. So it focuses, acoustic phonetics focuses on the physical properties of speech as sound waves in the air. Of course, it deals with the sound of speech in terms of what? Frequency, duration, intensity, measured in hertz, volume of sound. So just the definition, يعني اختصر التعريف. Acoustic phonetics focuses on what? The physical properties of speech as sound waves in the air. Okay, that's it. Okay, auditory phonetics. Auditory phonetics, as the word suggests, auditory. So it has something to do with what? With audio, سماعي. Okay, auditory phonetics. It means perceptual phonetics, from perceive. Okay, from the verb perceive, understanding, perceptual. Okay, perceptual, how you perceive, how you understand. Okay, so it is auditory, from auditory, سماعي. So perceptual phonetics, which deals with the perception. كيف تستلقيه, okay? كيف تستلقيه وبتسمعه, and you understand it via ear, of course. So auditory phonetics, perceptual phonetics, which deals with the perception via the ear or speech sounds. Okay, so we have articular phonetics, concerned with how speech sounds are made. Acoustic phonetics, which is concerned with, properties or physical properties of speech sounds as waves in the air. And finally, the auditory phonetics, which is concerned with the perception, okay, perception of these sounds via your ears. Okay, good. Next, we are going here to come across or to have a look on English consonants and vowel sounds. Of course, we have consonant sounds and vowel sounds. In Arabic, we say vowel sounds, or the vowels, الأحرف المتحركة. Consonants is second, okay? But here we are talking about sounds, okay? Sounds, not letters. English consists of 44 sounds. 44 sounds. This is for English. 20 vowels and 24 consonants. Good. So how many vowels do we have in English? How many vowels? 20. And 24 consonants. Good. In the production of consonants, this is one of the most important distinctions between consonants and vowels. In the production of consonants, the airstream is obstructed, stopped, partially or completely. So which type of sounds do we have an obstruction? It is in the production of consonants. Okay, so in the production of consonants, في consonants في وقف في airstream, في stop. Okay, so in the production of consonants, the airstream is obstructed somewhere here in the oral cavity. So in the production of consonants, the airstream is obstructed partially or completely somewhere in the oral cavity. However, when producing vowels or vowel sounds, the body over moves freely from the lungs upwards through the mouth or the nose. Okay, so what happens here is that in the production of consonants, we have obstruction, وقف. The body over is stopped somewhere here. Okay, is stopped, سواء partially or completely. وفي الآخر بعدي في الآخر either from the nose, the nasal cavity, or from the mouth, the oral cavity. Okay, So again, the most important distinction between vowels and consonants is that in the production of consonants, the airstream is obstructed, is stopped, so partially or completely somewhere in the oral cavity. However, when producing vowel sounds, the body over moves freely. It is originated from the lungs. It starts from the lungs, the body over. Then it goes up, okay? It goes up, passing through the larynx, passing through the larynx, and then from either the nasal cavity or the oral cavity, from the nose or the mouth, okay? Good. From the lungs upwards through the mouth or the nose. Okay, another important distinction, all vowel sounds are voiced, but consonant sounds are all vowel sounds are voiced. Yes, of course, all vowel sounds are voiced, but consonant sounds are voiced and voiceless. So in consonants, we have voiced and voiceless. However, in vowel sounds, we have only voiced, because all vowel sounds are voiced. All vowel sounds are voiced. What's the meaning of voiced? Voiced, okay? Voiced means that the vocal cords, الأحبال الصوتية, vibrate when we produce this type of sound, okay? Vibrate, okay? Vibrate. So this is done. This is done for English, or the main differences between consonants and vowels. Okay, what are voiced? All the vowel sounds are voiced. What is voiced and voiceless? Consonant sounds. Good. Organs of speech. Okay. First, we need to know what are the organs that are used in the production of consonants and sounds. Today we are going to cover the consonants. Inshallah, in another session, I'm going to talk about vowels. Okay, let's have a look on the organs of speech. Okay, or they are called articulators, or parts of speech. We have two types, of course. Organs of speech are divided into two major categories. We have mobile, active organs of speech, and we have immobile or fixed or passive. Okay, as the name suggests, or as the name implies, mobile or active organs can move, like the lips, the tongue, the lower jaw, الفك السفلي, velum, or velum is the soft palate, velum or the soft palate, okay? Good. These parts or these organs of speech are mobile, they are active, so they can move. However, we have other immobile or fixed or passive organs of speech, or articulators. They cannot move, like the larynx. Okay, it's Adam's apple. تفاحة Adam. Larynx. It has three names, by the way. We can say larynx, we have voice box, and Adam's apple. Of course, we have a chart. Inshallah, I'm going to show you the chart. We have pharynx, جدار بالعوم. Pharynx. Upper. Okay, upper. In an upper position. Okay, it is in an upper position. فوق right? Okay. So we have the larynx, طبعا fixed. The pharynx, hard palate, and alveolar ridge. The hard palate, it's the bony place right after the upper front teeth. It is the hard palate. الجزئية اللي بعد الأسنان الأماميات اللي فوق النتوء اللي بعد أسنانك مباشرة، الجزء القاسي. Okay, في سقف الحلق طبعا. بعد الأسنان الأمامية مباشرة. Hard. That's why it is called hard. If you feel it with your tip of tongue, or with your tip of your finger, okay, you can feel it. You can feel it with your tip of tongue or with the tip of your finger, okay. So it is hard, and that's why it is the hard palate. And the alveolar ridge. The alveolar ridge comes after the hard palate, okay. Comes after the hard palate, okay. hard palate, and the alveolar ridge. Good. So, good. So let's have a look on how air initiates. How air, okay? How is air originated? How is air originated? Where air starts from? Where does it start from? Where does it, this is a question, where does it start from? How air initiates? Of course, here we start with the diaphragm. Where's the diaphragm? This is the diaphragm. This is the diaphragm, which is like a layer of muscle. It is a layer of muscle between the lungs and the stomach. Okay? So it is between the two lungs and the stomach. اللي هو الحجاب الحاجز diaphragm. It is the diaphragm. Okay? It is the diaphragm. Okay? This diaphragm is movable. It can move. Okay? The diaphragm, it can move. If it moves upward, this is the diaphragm again. Diaphragm الحجاب الحاجز. Okay? It is between the two lungs and the stomach. The stomach is, okay, under the diaphragm. Okay? The two lungs are above the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is movable. It can move. If it moves upward, then it presses against what? It presses against the two lungs, making the body of air from the lung to go upward through the trachea or the windpipe. Okay? Backward. Okay? Again. So here is the location. Here you see the two lungs. Here is the location of the diaphragm. حجاب الحاجز. Okay? So we start with the diaphragm moving upward, pressing against the lungs. So when it moves upward, it presses against the lungs. What happens? The air from the lungs, okay, بتضغط على الرئتين. The air from the lungs is pushed out, okay, is pushed up through the trachea. What is the trachea or the windpipe? The windpipe. قصبة الهوائية. Okay? So the air from the lungs is pushed out or is pushed up through the trachea or the windpipe to the larynx. This is the larynx. It is Adam's apple. 3 names. Okay? We can say larynx, okay? Adam's apple, or voice box. Okay? So what is the pharynx? جدار البلعوم. الpharynx جدار البلعوم. Okay? So what is important about the larynx? What is important about the larynx? The larynx is one of the most important organs of speech. Why? Because inside the larynx, we have the vocal cords or the vocal folds. Okay? الأحبال الصوتية. 2 flexible, okay, strings of muscles. اللي هي larynx, vocal cords. So what is important about the larynx? It is that inside the larynx, we have the 2 vocal cords or the 2 vocal folds. 2 vocal cords or 2 vocal folds الأحبال الصوتية. Okay? And they play a very crucial role in the production of sounds. Whether the sound we produce is voiced or voiceless. It depends on what? I mean, the sound being voiced or voiceless depends on the position of the vocal cords. Okay? We are going to talk about this later on. Okay? I'm sorry, صرحت شوية. Okay, so how air initiates? Again, how air initiates? كيف بيبدأ الهواء? We start with the diaphragm moving upwards, pressing against the lungs. And حجاب الحاجز, okay, it moves upwards. It presses against what? Against the lungs. What happens then? The air from the lungs is pushed out, is pushed up through the trachea or the windpipe. بندفع من خلال قصبة الهواء. Good. To the first thing, it goes through the larynx. Very, very important. Very important. هنشوفها في كل مراحلنا. It goes through the larynx. اللي هي Adam's apple, larynx. Adam's apple or voice box, larynx. What is important about the larynx is that inside the larynx we have the two vocal cords. الأحبال الصوتية داخل اللارynx. Okay. وفي حاجة مهمة إنه the distance between the two vocal cords, the distance between the two vocal cords is called what? Glottis. Glottis. المسافة بين الأحبال الصوتية تسمى الجلوتس. إذا في عندي هنا آدمز أبل، تفاحة آدم اللي هي اللارynx، داخلها we have two vocal cords or folds، أحبال صوتية اثنين. They can move. Okay, they can they can assume two different positions. إلها شكلين. Okay, if they are apart or if they are adjacent. ممكن يكونوا بعاد أو قراب عن بعض. بعدين the distance between the two vocal cords، المسافة بين ال two vocal cords is called glottis. Is called glottis. Okay, this is very important. Okay, the air from the lungs is pushed up through the trachea or the windpipe to the larynx. Inside the larynx are the vocal folds or vocal cords, which take two basic positions. Okay, which take the two vocal cords take two basic positions. This is very important. Okay, so nota bene, which means ملاحظة, in the production of English sounds we use an aggressive pulmonic air stream. Again, we use an aggressive, not aggressive, aggressive, like exhaling, zafiri, aggressive. However, ingressive with the I, ingressive in IN, ingressive means inhaling. Okay, shahiq. So the type of sound or of airstream we use when we talk, when we speak, is aggressive pulmonic airstream. Aggressive, it is called aggressive pulmonic airstream. ما بقدر اتكلم وانا بسحب الهواء لجوا. ما بظبط. Okay, زفيري. Okay, aggressive means exhaling. Pulmonic means from the lungs. Pulmonic means from the lungs, from the two lungs. So in the production of English sounds, we use an aggressive, which means exhaling, okay? Pulmonic airstream. That's to say, the air is pushed out of the lungs through the mouth, oral tract, or the nose, nasal tract. Okay, so if the airstream, okay, goes out through the nasal cavity, okay, nasal cavity, it is called or nasal cavity or nasal tract. Nasal cavity here, nasal tract is a bit different, okay? Through the mouth, oral tract, or the nasal tract. In the sound, if the sound is produced in the nasal cavity, we call it nasal sound, okay? If it is in the oral cavity, we call it oral sounds, okay? So we have oral sounds or nasal sounds. Again, so when we speak, okay, or in the production of English sounds or okay, we use an aggressive pulmonic airstream. Aggressive means exhaling, zafiri, and pulmonic means from the lungs, pushed out. An airstream, okay, which is pushed out of the lungs through the mouth or the nasal tract, okay? Good. So this is airstream mechanism. This is the airstream mechanism used in the production of English sounds, the airstream mechanism. So if you are asked about the airstream mechanism, you have to say that in the production of English sounds, we use an aggressive pulmonic airstream. Okay? Good. So let's, we are done with this, by the way. This is the diaphragm, الحجاب الحاجز. This is the trachea, القصبة الهوائية, or the windpipe, okay? That's it, the windpipe. Good. Okay, now let's have a look on voiced or voiceless, okay? Voiced and voiceless sounds. One of the criteria upon which we depend when we describe consonants, okay? If we are talking about consonants, or when we describe consonants, لما بنوصف الأصوات, we talk about consonants as being voiceless, the place of articulation, the manner of articulation. Okay, we are going to talk about this. Okay, so voiced and voiceless sounds. Voiced and voiceless sounds. Okay, we have already talked about what? About the two vocal cords. About the two vocal cords. Where are the two vocal cords located? They are inside the larynx. They are inside the larynx. Okay, what is the larynx? The larynx is Adam's apple. تفاحة آدم. Okay? تفاحة آدم. Okay, so the vocal cords are inside the larynx, which is Adam's apple, or box voice, voice box. Okay, voice box. What is the glottis? The glottis is the distance between the two vocal cords. The glottis is the distance between the two vocal cords. This is very important, right? Here, of course, we have some distinctions. We have hard palate. This is the place. Hard palate. Hard palate. We have alveolar ridge. We have the velum. We have, okay. We have, yes, velum. We have the two lips. We have here the teeth. Dental, of course. Dentist, dental. Yeah, we have the tongue. Even the tongue is divided into 5 sections. The tongue is divided into 5 sections. The first is the tip of the tongue, طرف اللسان. Then blade. Then front of the tongue, back and root. Again, the different distinctions of the tongue: tip of the tongue, blade of the tongue, front of the tongue, back of the tongue, and root of the tongue. The root of the tongue. Okay? These are the different distinctions of what? Of the tongue. Here we have upper lip, and lower lip. Upper teeth, lower teeth. You see? Lip, 2 lips. Okay? 2 lips. Upper lip, lower lip. Upper teeth, lower teeth. Okay? The area right behind the upper front teeth is called alveolar ridge. Alveolar ridge. منطقة اللي ورا الأسنان الأمامية مباشرة. النتوء فيها نتوء. Okay? فيها نتوء. Okay. Then after, what comes after the alveolar ridge? المنطقة القاسية اللي هي hard palate. Hard palate. Then after we have soft palate, and we have soft palate, of course, is the velum. The velum is the soft palate. At the end we have uvula. Uvula. Okay? Uvula اللي هي هذه آخر شيء زمارة اللسان، مش زمارة، اللي هي اللهاء. يوفيولا اللهاء. اوكي، مش يعني الجزء هذا مش للشرح البارت اوف سبيتش، في اجزاء ثانيه ان شاء الله. الان let's have a look on voiced or voiceless sounds. Voiced or voiceless sounds. Okay, voiced to voiceless. Okay, if or when the vocal folds, the vocal cords الأحبال الصوتية are spread apart, if they are spread apart, okay, إذا بعاد عن بعض, the air from the lungs passes between them, between the two vocal cords, unimpeded or freely. Unimpeded يعني بدون معيقات, freely. Okay, so sounds produced in this way are described as voiceless. ما فيها صوت، ما بتطلع صوت. Okay, like they are voiceless. Again, when the vocal folds are spread apart, if they are apart, the air from the lungs passes freely, okay, through the two vocal cords, and they do not vibrate. They do not vibrate because they are apart. بعد عن بعض، بخش الهواء بسهولة. So we don't have vibration. Okay, and that's why the sound produced in this case is called voiceless. Okay, then 2, when the vocal folds are drawn together, when they are together, when the two vocal cords are together, or when they are adjacent, the air from the lungs repeatedly pushes them apart. بيحاول, it forces itself. The body of air forces itself through the two vocal cords. Okay? So بيكونوا قراب من بعض جدا. The air drawn together. The air from the lungs repeatedly بشكل متكرر pushes them, بدفعهم, بده يمرق, pushes them apart, بده يوسعهم, as it passes through, بينما وهو بعدي منهم, creating a vibration effect. So what happens if they are together? The airstream repeatedly pushes the two vocal cords apart while passing through the two vocal cords, or passing through them, creating a vibration effect. بيعمل vibration. أكيد. Sounds produced in this way are voiced. Yeah, vibration يعني بيهتزوا اهتزاز. So the two vocal cords vibrate. Okay? So when do we have voiceless and voiced sounds? When the two vocal cords are apart, we have voiceless sounds. When the two vocal cords are drawn together, we have voiced sounds. Okay? Two vocal cords. Okay, what is the name of the distance? What do we call the distance between the two vocal cords? The distance between the two vocal cords is called the glottis. glottis على فكرة اسمها الجلاتس اللي هي فتحة المزمار. مزمار. ليش بيسموها مزمار؟ لأنها بيطلع فيها صوت بتزمر. اوكي؟ فتحة المزمار. اوكي؟ ملهاش دعوة في اللهاء. اللهاء شيء ثاني. اللهاء هذه الجزء المتدلي من سقف الحلق. اوكي؟ هذه اللهاء. اوكي؟ فتحة المزمار هي الايش؟ الجلاتس. الجلاتس the distance between the two vocal cords. good. طبعا حنمشي عليه 100 مرة والطالب حيحفظه أكيد. Okay. Voiced and voiceless sounds. The distinction can be felt physically if you, إذا بدك تشعر أنت بتعرف إنه voiced ولا voiceless. What you need to do is just put your tip of your finger against your Adam's apple, your throat. Okay? حط راس اصبعك على وين؟ على برا من اللي هو على your Adam's apple, and you can say you will feel the vibration فقط. واحيانا ممكن نقول حط اصابعك اثنين اللي هو السبابه، دخلهم في دينيك، سكر دينيك فيهم، اعمل حتحس الفرق كيف بصير في زنه، في رجه كبيره. اوكي؟ اذا اما بحط طرف اصبعي السبابه قبال مقابل against your Adam's apple مقابل اللي هو الحنجره، واعمل حتشعر في طرف الاصبع في ذبذبات. Okay, that's it. This is what is expressed here. Okay, the distinction can be felt physically. بدك تشعر فيه physically if you place a fingertip راس اصبعك on top of or against your Adam's apple. Adam's apple is the part of your larynx. Okay. Then produce sounds such as zzz, you will feel حتى بدون لما تعمل zzz, تشعر برجة في مخك. Okay. Since these are voice sounds, you should be able to feel some vibration, of course, because these Z and V, okay, are voiced, so you will feel the vibration. Okay. Keeping your tip in the same position, now you make the sounds s. Okay? Because these are voiceless sounds, there would be or there should be no vibration. That's it. يعني z, v, في vibration. Fish vibration. That's it. Okay? يعني شرحنا لكم الطريقة. Okay, we have unvoiced or voiceless and voiced. No vibration. S, p, s, t, ch, ch, s. Here, v, j, b, z, d, g. Okay? V, j. Okay, these are phonetic presentation. Okay? Phonetic transcription. phonetic representation, or phonetic transcription. Okay, this is j, this is v, voiced, this is j, j, voiced, d, z, b, not p, it's b, bebok, j, or g, sorry, g, g, okay, gum, v, okay, these are f, k, p, s, t, ch, ch, t and ch, ch. We have a stop and we have release, ch, like thick, and sh. So these are voiced and voiceless sounds. Okay, let's have a look here, please. This is called the nasal cavity. Okay, this is called the nasal cavity. Okay, colored with green, clear color. This is the oral cavity. Okay, nasal cavity, oral cavity. Okay, we have something called the okay, so nasal cavity, oral cavity. We have the tract here, tract. Okay, something like tract, or okay, vocal cords, vocal tract. Yeah, the vocal tract. Again, the vocal tract. Again, the vocal tract. Okay, tract means ممر يعني, tract. Okay, and here we can say the nasal tract and the oral tract. The oral tract consists from the oral cavity with all its articulators and the pharynx. Okay, and the pharynx. Okay, so the pharynx again, the pharynx مش البلعوم, هو ظهر البلعوم. لما تفتح تمك اخر شيء بتشوفه مباشره على اخر, تفتح تمك بتشوف على اخر اللي هو الحلق جوا, مش الحلق اللي فوق, لا, ظهر البلعوم. Okay, the pharynx with the oral cavity is called the oral tract. Okay, but what is the vocal tract? The vocal tract starts from the glottis. After the air is released from the glottis, it goes up through the trachea. Then it goes either from the oral cavity or the nasal cavity. So the place from the glottis up to the nasal cavity, along with the nasal cavity and the oral cavity, كله, from the glottis to the oral cavity and the nasal cavity, this is called the vocal tract. تتكون من nasal tract or vocal tract. Nasal tract or oral tract. Oral means mouth, chamber of the mouth. Nasal cavity, chamber of the nose or nose chamber. Okay, nasal cavity. We have many names actually. Nasal tract, nasal cavity, oral tract, oral cavity. Okay. So طبعا الاصوات اللي بتنتج من النيزل كافيتي تسمى nasals or nasal sounds, وفي الاورال كافيتي الاصوات اللي بتطلع من هنا اوكي تسمى oral sounds. Okay, so the vocal tract الممر الصوتي كله vocal صوتي. اوكي, tract اللي هو ممر او اوكي it starts from the glottis. Okay, after the airstream is released from the glottis, it goes up through the trachea or windpipe, passing either from the oral cavity or from the nasal cavity. All the nasal cavity along with the oral cavity up to the glottis is called the vocal tract. Okay, we have here nostrils, فتحة الأنف, we have nasal cavity, we have oral cavity, okay? We have something important, by the way, that in the production of nasal sounds, nasal sounds, what happens is that the velum, okay, is lowered. The velum is lowered, okay, allowing the air stream to go through the nose. الفيلم يا جماعة السوفت بالات هذه، okay, soft palate. السوفت بالات بتنزل بتسكر، and here when it is lowered we have a free passage of air going through the nasal cavity, okay, is lowered. يعني هنمر عليها إن شاء الله. Okay, the soft palate is lowered. The soft palate is lowered. The soft palate, or the velum, let me say, the velum, it's the same, velum or soft palate. The velum is lowered, تنزل لتحت, allowing the air to go, okay, or letting, we can say allowing the air to go, or letting the air go through the nasal cavity, okay, letting the air go through the nasal cavity. Okay, we have the larynx, الحنجرة, طبعا Adam's apple, voice box, okay, okay, we have here, here we have windpipe or trachea, yeah, قصبة الهوائية, larynx. Inside the larynx we have the two vocal cords. Inside the larynx we have the two vocal cords, which are very important for the production, or in the production of sounds, and in determining whether the sound is voiced or voiceless. The two vocal cords, okay? The distance between the two vocal cords is called the glottis. Okay? Okay, طيب في ممكن حد يسألني what is epiglottis? Epiglottis, as the name implies, epi means above. Epi means above. So it is epiglottis, above the glottis. Good, very good. It is the epiglottis. اللي هي بسموها حاجة هنا باسمها لحمة الحلق. Okay, لحمة الحلق. هي مش الحلق ولا لحمة الحلق. What is the function؟ طبعا يا جماعة هذه هي الإبيجلوتس. ليش الفارة؟ الإبيجلوتس هذه شغلتها it blocks the airway to the lungs while swallowing. Why? To prevent food from entering the lungs. That's it. Again. إذا يا جماعة الإبيجلوتس هذه اللي بتسكر ما بين كيف بناكل وبنتنفس إحنا. الإبيجلوتس بسموها بالعربي لحمة الحلق. هذه معلومة يعني ممكن أجيبها لكم الامتحان كمان. Epiglottis. Epi means above. glottis فتحة المزمار اللي هي فيها اللي هي موجودة كلها وين في اللارynx. اوكي epiglottis. اوكي دير بالكم الجلوتس مش الفوكال كوردز. الجلوتس is the distance between the two vocal cords. المسافة بين الحبلين الصوتيين. اوكي طيب التو vocal cords وين؟ in the larynx, in Adam's apple. شرحته 50 مرة. اوكي larynx. Inside the larynx we have the two vocal cords. The distance between the two vocal cords is called the glottis. Epiglottis, okay, هي لحمة الحلق. What is the function of the epiglottis? Epi means above the glottis then. So it is above the glottis. It blocks the airway. بتسكر airway to the lungs. بتسكر فتحة lungs while we are eating, while we are swallowing, واحنا بنبلع واحنا بناكل. Why? To prevent food from going through or entering the lungs. عشان تمنع الأكل يمرق على الرئتين. Okay, so this is the function of the epiglottis. The epiglottis closes the airway to the lungs while we eat or while swallowing in order to prevent food from entering the lungs. عشان تمنع الأكل إنه يخش على الرئتين. Okay, this is the epiglottis. طيب وغيره ايش ضل؟ vocal cords. Yes, هي الفوكال كوردز الأحبال الصوتية هنا. تمام التمام. This is the trachea. اللي هي التراكيا تراكيا or windpipe. تمام. This is the nasal cavity. هذا تجويف الأنف. This is the oral cavity تجويف الفم. This is the tongue. هذا تجويف دماغ فتحة هذه. Okay, oral cavity. Okay, this is the tongue with its different sections. This is the tip of the tongue. هيو section شايفينه. Tip of the tongue. رأس اللسان. We have blade of the tongue here. الجزئية هذه blade. Then we have front, back, and root of the tongue. Root of the tongue. Okay, root. تمام. هذا بالنسبة للtongue. This is for the tongue. Now سقف الحلق. نيجي من البداية from the very beginning. We have the teeth, of course. We have alveolar. Sorry, here we have lips. These are the teeth. This is the teeth. These are the teeth. Sorry, these are the teeth. Okay, we have lips. The two lips. Then after we have teeth. Okay, upper front teeth. Okay, we have the alveolar ridge. وراء الأسنان القدامية مباشرة alveolar ridge. We have hard palate. We have soft palate or the velum. Soft palate and the velum. Soft palate is the same as it's the velum. And the end we have uvula اللي هي اليوفيولا بنقول عنها ايش بالعربي؟ اللهاء. يوفيولا اللهاء. اوكي؟ يوفيولا اللي هي اللهاء. ايش ضل؟ nostrils فتحة الأنف. اوكي؟ center طبعا the center it's the center of the tongue. ممكن نقول center كمان. اوكي tip of the tongue, blade, front, back and root of the tongue. Okay? Okay, what's else? Okay, that's it. Pharynx, yeah. جدار البلعوم. Okay, جدار البلعوم. طبعا جدار البلعوم يا جماعة لأنه في الأمام في الحنجرة وراء البلعوم. Okay, this is جدار البلعوم اللي هي pharynx. الlarynx هي طبعا تفاحة آدم. Okay, next please. Okay, so how to make speech sounds? Organs of articulation اللي هي organs of speech اللي هي articulators. Okay? Okay, طبعا هنا في تقسيم آخر نفس الحاجة. طبعا يا جماعة we need to know that the lungs are an important part or an important articulator. The two lungs are considered one of the most important articulators, okay, used in the production of sounds. Okay, so this is the diagram. The diagram shows the anatomical location of the vocal organs involved in the description of English vowels and consonants. It is not a complete representation of all the vocal organs because the lungs, for example, are not shown. يعني the lungs are another important اللي هو what? Articulator. جزء من أعضاء النطق. Lungs. Here nose, upper lip, lower lip. Okay, teeth, upper teeth, lower teeth. These are the different sections of the tongue. Tip of the tongue, blade, center. Okay, we can say center or we can say front, back, and root. Okay. This is nasal cavity. Here we have the nasal cavity. We have here the oral cavity. This is the oral cavity. Here is the tongue. Okay. طبعا سقف الحلق we have upper teeth. We have alveolar ridge. We have hard palate, and we have soft palate. Hard palate. Okay, soft palate or velum. We have uvula. Uvula اللي هي اللهاء. Pharynx جدار البلعوم. Okay, glottis is the distance between هي واضحة. The glottis is the distance between the two vocal cords, which are inside the larynx. Okay, classification of consonants. Okay, if we would like to classify consonants, we have to talk about three important things: place of articulation, manner of articulation, and voicing. So consonants are divided and described according to place of articulation, okay, the location of an active articulator, alone or in connection with another articulator, or the articulators involved in the sound of production. وين الإغلاق بصير؟ مين الأعضاء اللي هو أعضاء النطق؟ وين أعضاء النطق؟ إيش هي أعضاء النطق اللي بتستخدم في This is very easy. Place of articulation, and that's why it is the place where is this contact between the organs of speech? Okay, where does this contact happen? Where does this contact happen? Or what are the articulators that involved? Okay, what are the articulators involved in the production of the sound? يعني كلام كتير لكن هي جملة واحدة. The location, it is the place, it is the location of an active articulator alone. ما هو أحيانا بيكون واحد أحيد بيكون or in connection with another articulator. المكان اللي بصير فيه التاتش أو الكونكشن. Okay, manner of articulation, the type of obstruction. What happens? Manner of articulation, what happens there? Or the type of obstruction, partial, complete, نوع الobstruction, made to flow to the flow over, the type of obstruction, نوع الإغلاق اللي بصير. Okay, and voicing, whether the voice is or the sound is voiced or voiceless. يعني في vibration ولا فيش vibration. If it is plus vibration it means voiced, minus vibration voiceless. Okay, هذا في التشارت الدولي. Okay, إذا يا جماعة place of articulation, if we would like to give a full description of any sound, okay, consonants of course, consonant sounds, we have to say, okay, or to describe it, to describe the sound in terms of فيما يتعلق بال place of articulation, manner of articulation, and voicing. Good? Very good. Very good. Next. Place of articulation. Okay, place of articulation. Okay, so the place of articulation, in the place of articulation, it says here, place of articulation, the position of your vocal organs or apparatus when making the sound. So it is, what is a place of articulation? It is the position of your vocal organs, the position ومكان الvocal organ when making the sound, or shape of your mouth for vowels. Yes, it is for the vowels, the shape. Of course, we are not talking about vowels here. So it is the shape of your mouth for the vowel. So in consonants, place of articulation, the position of your vocal apparatus. Vocal apparatus means vocal organs. Most consonant sounds are produced by using the tongue. This is very, very important. مهم. Most consonants are used or are produced by using the tongue with other parts of the mouth. Okay, so the tongue, this is the tongue with other parts. The tongue with the roof of the mouth, the alveolar ridge, the tongue with the upper front teeth, the tongue with the lips, the tongue with the soft palate, the tongue with the hard palate, the tongue with the, okay? So the tongue makes contacts or approaches the different parts of the mouth. Okay, so most consonant sounds are produced by using the tongue with the parts of the mouth to construct the shape of the oral cavity, ليشكل shape of the oral cavity through which the air is passing. By the way, the tongue is the most active organ of speech. It is the most active organ of speech because of many reasons, and one of them is because in the production of vowels, في نطق الvowels مش الconsonants, the only organ of speech used is the tongue. Okay, the tongue is the only organ of speech, is the only articulator used in the production of vowels. Okay, but we are talking about consonants. In consonants, I mean, these sounds, consonant sounds, are produced by using what? The tongue with other parts of the mouth, of course, مع آخرين. Okay, with the alveolar ridge, with the soft palate, with the hard palate, with the tip, the lips, with the teeth. Okay, good. Okay, of the mouth to constrict the shape of the oral cavity through which the air is passing. Okay. The terms used to describe many sounds are those which denote the place of articulation of the sound. That is, the location inside the mouth at which the constriction takes place. Okay? معناته يعني بتسمى place of articulation عزم المكان اللي الحرف بتسمى عزم المكان اللي بصير فيه. Okay? البالات palatal sounds. اوكي اليوفيولا اوكي والكذا والكذا، فبالتالي اليوفيولا ما شو اسمه التانج لا تستخدم اليوفيولا. اوكي، ولكن تساعد، لا تستخدم. اوكي، الا في بعض الحروف طبعا، حروف باللغه العربيه. اوكي، فيلم فيلر we say velar sounds. إذا يسمى الحرف على اسم المكان اللي صار فيه الكونتاكت بين اللسان والمكان. Okay? And that's the term used to describe many sounds. The terms, مصطلحات, used to describe many sounds are those which denote اللي بتدل على the place of articulation of the sound. Okay? إذا the place of articulation المكان اللي بصير فيه الكونتاكت، إذا في كونتاكت أو approaching بين التانج وبين part of the speech and other part of the speech، بيتسمى الحرف بنفس المكان. عندنا طبعا حنوريكم إن شاء الله. Okay? Okay, if you crack a head right down the middle أو عملت قص لرأس طبعا من النص، you will be able to see which parts of the oral cavity are crucially involved in speech production. هتشوف فعلا طبعا نعمل يعني هي الجزئية هذه، نعمل سلايس للرأس بجنب، هتشوف أي parts of speech تستخدم في إنتاج الأصوات. Okay? So place of articulation. Okay, place of articulation continue. Consonants. Okay, we begin using the symbols of the phonetic alphabet for specific sounds. These symbols will be within square brackets. طبعا if we are talking about symbols, phonetic symbols, I mean phonetic alphabets, okay, phonetic alphabet, which is the representation of the sounds. يعني نستخدم الفوناتيك alphabet، الرمز اللي قلنا عنه رموز معينة، هذه مش حروف يعني رموز أصوات. Each phonetic alphabet represents a sound, of course. We use either اللي هو square brackets or two slashes. In some books we have two slashes. In many phonetics books, okay, phonemic symbols are enclosed within slant brackets between two slashes يعني زي كده or two square brackets. معناته هنا يا جماعة لما يكون في two slashes or two square brackets معناته اللي في النص بده يكون هذا مش letter, it is phonetic alphabet. It is phonetic alphabet. Okay, simple for phonetic alphabet. Okay, متعارف عليها دوليا like okay وهلم جرب طبعا. Okay, so let's start the place of articulation. Let's start with the place of articulation. Okay, طبعا bilabial sounds في عندي تقريبا 8 sounds. Okay, we have bilabial. As the name implies, as the name suggests, they are produced by the two lips. They are bilabial. Bi means two. Labial from the lips. Labial from the lips. So the bilabial sounds are sounds which are produced by the two lips. Bilabial. Two lips. Bi means two. Labial means, lips. Bilabial sounds. These are sounds produced using both upper and lower lips. It's very easy. Of course, the initial sounds in the words أول حروف في كلمات pan, ban, and man are all bilabials. Just p, b, and m. P, b, and m. Okay? Okay, this is the phonetic alphabet, phonetic transcription, phonetic alphabet between two brackets or two square, okay, two square brackets or between two slashes, okay. Are there any other sounds that are bilabial in English? Of course, no. Bilabial, p, b, m. We can say w, w sometimes. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So just p, b, and m. B, p, and m. Just okay. We can say W. We can say W. Okay, W. It is voiced. Okay, it is voiced. So bilabial sounds are sounds formed using both upper and lower lips. طبعا the lower lip, of course, the lower lip articulates or moves against the upper lip. مين بيتحرك؟ lower lip. Okay. Okay, so the lower lip articulates or moves against the upper lip. Okay. P is voiceless. P is voiceless. B is voiced. M voiced, and W voiced. Okay. With the two lips. تقارب. Okay. Next, please. We have labiodental. Labiodental. Okay. طبعا هنا if you see this is bilabial. Okay. Bilabial. هي البوزيشن في الاورال cavity. Okay. Lips. Next we have labiodental. Why labiodental? Labio from lips and dental from dentist, which is الأسنان. Dentist. Okay. Dental. Okay. Dental. أسنان. Dentist طبيب الأسنان. So labiodental, lips with the dental أسنان. So labiodental sounds. These are sounds made with the upper teeth and the lower lip. And the lower lip. The initial sounds of the words f, v, okay? Sorry. Fan, van. And the final sounds in words safe and save. So they are if, v, if, v. Try to make these sounds. Try making these sounds, please. Try them. V. Okay, so the lower lip and upper teeth. If. And that's why they are called labiodental, because what is involved here is the upper teeth and the lower lip. That's it. Very easy. Labiodental sounds. These are sounds made with the upper teeth and the lower lip. Okay. يعني بداية الحروف تاعت فان وفان أو سيف وسيف. One is voiced and the other is voiceless. Okay, labiodental. So labiodentals are sounds formed with the upper teeth and the lower lip. Lower lip goes against or articulates. What happens is that مين متحرك? Okay, the lower lip. So the lower lip articulates against the upper teeth. تتحرك ناحية الupper teeth. Okay, شفوية. Okay, then done. سهل. dental. طبعا dental أسنان بحت. طب مع مين؟ يكون اللسان معهم في النص. Okay, like dental or interdental. dental or interdental. ليش interdental؟ لو enter, the tongue enters between the dents, the teeth. Okay, dental means teeth. Okay, so it is dental or interdental. Dental or interdental sounds. These sounds are formed with a tongue tip, طرف اللسان, between the teeth. The first sound of thin and the last sound of this is okay. The first sound of thin and the last sound of bath are both interdentals. The initial sounds of the and thus are yes good. أنا فكرته بيحكي هذا صوت وهذا صوت. 2-1 bathe، لأنه لو كانت bathe بدها E bathe. No, it's the same sound. So the first thin and bath هدول 2 إيش مالهم؟ هدول this is the phonetic transcription of okay, thin, bath, okay, and the initial sounds أول أصوات of thus and thus and the and thus, the and thus, the and زي الستة المعكوفة، ستة عكسية فيها شحطة هيك. okay, so teeth and اللي هو tip of the tongue, teeth and tip of the dental or interdental اسنان. good. يعني إذا عرفنا إحنا الأسماء البارت of speech بنعرف إيش أسماء الإيش place of articulation كلها. next we have alveolar sounds. Alveolar sounds. Okay. 4 alveolar ridge. What is the alveolar ridge? It's the place right after the upper front teeth. Okay. Alveolar sounds, these are sounds made with the front part of the tongue, the front مش التip ولا البليد، the front, by the front part of the tongue touching the alveolar ridge. اعمل لي ت مش بطرف اللسان، ت بتشوف اللي هو منطقة البليد الفرونت. okay, so these are sounds made with the front part of the tongue touching the alveolar ridge. ت د س ز ن ال كلها أحرف ر by the way ر. so ت د س ز ن ل and r. all these sounds are alveolar. These are alveolar sounds. Why؟ اللي هو place of articulation هو alveolar ridge اللي بعد الأسنان الأمامية مباشرة. alveolar ridge. okay, so sounds formed with the front part of the tongue on the alveolar ridge, okay, which is what is the alveolar ridge? It is the rough bony ridge immediately behind the above upper teeth, immediately behind the upper teeth. okay, it is a rough يعني خشن، bony يعني من bones عظمي ورا الأسنان الأمامية مباشرة، هي the alveolar ridge. it is the rough bony ridge immediately behind the upper teeth. طبعا the tongue tip and the blade or the ما أحيانا بقولوا blade وأحيانا بقولوا front part، ما هو نفس الجزء تقريبا، فيش مسافة بينهم. الفرونت أو البليد، الفرونت أو البليد of the tongue okay with the tip of the tongue with the or the alveolar ridge, with the alveolar ridge. okay. الأحرف يا جماعة ال place of articulation ت د س ز ن ل. طبعا فيهم بيختلفن بالنسبة للmanner of articulation and r. المانر of articulation بيختلف لكن كله هو نفس المكان، في منه إغلاق كامل، في منه partial، في منه تمام. okay. next alveopolatal or palatal. alveopolatal or palatal. why is it alveopolatal or palatal? palatal means software، يعني المنطقة between alveolar والpalatal في المنتصف. okay, or palatal. it is called alveopolatal or palatal sounds. sounds produced with the tongue and the palate. the palate is the hard palate. okay, the palate here is the hard palate, i.e. the roof of the mouth, okay, are called alveopolatans. like what? okay, shout, shh, child, okay, treasure, okay, joke, هذه بتختلف، هذه فيش فيها كلوجر في الأول، هذه joke دي وجي. okay, joke في إغلاق بعدين joke. this is yes. this is sorry. This is yes. Yeah. Like J, like English J. وعليها نقطة. Okay? So alveopalatal or palatal. This is the place where the contact is made. Alveopalatal. الشم يا جماعة هما ش, j, ch, j, and e from yes, yeah. Okay? Again, sh, j, ch, j, and yeah. So the front of the tongue, okay, towards the area between alveolar ridge and the hard palate. Okay, so this is in between the area between the alveolar ridge, alveolar, and the hard palate. And that's why it is alveopalatal. Alveopalatal جزء من الالveolar ridge وجزء من الهارد palate. Is it clear? Again, why is it alveopalatal? طبعا لما نقول palatal هنا palatal means الهارد palate. الهارد palate. So alveopalatal means the distance between or the area between the alveolar ridge واللي بعدها بيجي الهارد palate. فهي المنطقة between alveopalatal. أخذنا كلمة وكلمة. alveopalatal من alveolar ridge أخذنا alveo ومن hard palate أخذنا palatal. So it's alveopalatal or palatal sounds. Okay? Okay. Alveopalatal sounds produced with the tongue and the palate. Okay? The roof of the mouth. These are called alveopalatals. Okay? That's it. Good. Good. Okay. We have then, after the alveopalatal or palatal sounds, we have velar sounds with a velum, with a soft palate. Velar, with a soft palate. Velar sounds. Velar sounds with a soft palate. Okay? With a soft palate. Velar from the velum. From the velum. And velum is the soft palate. The velum is the soft palate. هي نفس velum or soft palate. So velar sounds produced with the back of the tongue. Back. No, yes, back of the tongue against what? The velum. Against the velum. And that's why velum is the place. لكن الحرف بيسموه velar. صفة الحرف. الفيلم هو المكان. لكن صفته بصير velar. That's to say soft palate. Okay, velum here, soft palate. Are called velars. Velars, the initial sounds in kid and car, go and gun, and the final sounds in sing and in sing are velar. فبالتالي يا جماعة هي ج إنج ك ج ك إنج. Okay, tongue, that's one. Sing, this is ing, كأنها ing, ing. So g, k, and ing. Again, these are so the tongue or the tongue back articulates against the soft palate. The tongue back or the back of the tongue articulates or makes contact with what? With the soft palate, the velum. Okay, with the soft palate, the velum. That's it. K, g, and ing. K, g, and ing. Okay, this is easy. Good. Glottal sounds. This is the final. Glottal from the glottis. From the glottis. Okay, this is very easy. Glottis. What is the glottis? Is the distance between the two vocal cords. Okay? Is the distance between the two vocal cords. Okay. Glottal sounds. The glottis, or the space between the vocal cords, is open. Okay? No active use of the tongue and other parts of the mouth. Okay? What is the sound? The sound is house. Okay? Okay? So, again, In the glottal sounds, the glottis. We have a glottal stop. We have a glottal sound. We have a glottal. If it is a stop, so the two vocal cords are what? Are drawn together. Okay? Glottal sounds here. In fact, we have only one sound that is produced without the active use of the tongue and other parts of the mouth. Without the active use of the tongue. So what is the only sound produced without the active use of the tongue? مهم جدا السؤال هذا. شو الصوت اللي بينتج بدون استخدام الفعال للtongue. Active use of the tongue, okay? And other parts, of course, of the mouth. Other parts of the mouth. It is the voiceless sound. It is the voiceless sound. Like what? Like in the words like who, house, okay? The vocal folds or the vocal cords themselves are the place of articulation. The vocal folds or the vocal cords are the place of articulation. هن نفسهم. هن the place of articulation. The glottis, the space between the vocal folds or cords is open. فيش مش فيش إغلاق. Okay? If we say glottal stop, it's different. طبعا هذا في حالة glottal stop بيختلف. تمام يا جماعة؟ إذا في حالة اللي هو place of articulation we have glottal sounds. Okay, the glottis or the space between the two vocal cords or folds is open. No active use of the tongue. You see? No active use of the tongue. No active use of the tongue. فيش استخدام للtongue and other parts of the mouth. Good. Next. This is very, very important. This is very illustrative. We have here the name of the organs of speech and the name of the sound produced. Okay? Here we have bilabial. Bilabial means those produced by the two lips. P, B, M. Okay? Good. We have labiodental. Labiodental. I mean lips and the dentists and the teeth. Sorry, labiodental. We have dental or interdental. The. We have alveolar tongue with the alveolar ridge. T, D, S, Z, N, L, R. Okay. We have here palatoalveolar. Palatoalveolar, part of the palate, the hard palate, and part of the alveolar ridge. Okay, the distance between them. Okay, sh, j, h, j. Good. We have palatal. Okay, tongue with the hard palate. Okay, palatal tongue with the hard palate. When we say palatal, means the palate means the hard palate. Not the soft palate. Palate means the hard palate. Okay, palatal. Yeah. Okay, palatal. Yeah. We have velar from the velum. Okay, velum, soft palate. Velum is the place. Velar is the sound. Velars. Okay, k, g, and ing. We have glottal. We have glottal from the glottis. When they are apart, the airstream goes freely and we don't have any active role of the tongue. Okay? So these are the consonants, English consonants chart. This is bilabial, labiodental, dental, alveolar, palatal, velar, and glottal. Okay, this is the place of articulation. We have vertical and horizontal. Vertical and horizontal. Vertical is the place of articulation. Horizontal is the what? Horizontal is the manner of articulation. Stop, fricative, affricate, nasal, liquid, glide. We are going to, start talking about, stops, fricatives, affricates, nasals, liquids, and glides. This means what? This line is the manner of articulation. We have just finished talking about the place of articulation. Of course, sounds that are bold are voiced. This is very easy for everybody of you to learn them by heart. Bilabial stop. B, B. طبعا B is voiced. Labiodental. V. Labiodental fricative. Okay, labiodental fricative. Okay, labiodental fricative. F, V. Okay, V is voiced. Dental, F, V. Okay, dental fricative. Okay, alveolar fricative. S, Z. Palatal fricative. Sh, J. Okay, velar stop. And the stuff. Okay, ing, L, R, yeah. So this chart is to be learned by heart. Okay, manner of articulation. Manner of articulation, okay, talks about how we move our articulators as we make the sounds. How we move our articulators as we make the sounds. Good. Okay, so, or what happens? What happens? What happens when we produce the sounds? Okay, so we can describe the sound in terms of how they are articulated. Such a description is necessary if we want to be able to distinguish between the sounds that we have placed in the same category. Yes, D and Z, D, Z are both voiced alveolar sounds. Okay, D, Z are both voiced alveolar sounds. How do they differ? They differ in the manner they are pronounced. Yes, in the manner, because the place they are pronounced in the same place of articulation. D, Z, they are alveolar sounds. Voiced, اثنين voiced واثنين alveolar في الالveolar ridge. اوكي، D, Z. ولكن المنر بيختلف. ايش اللي بيصير في كل منهم؟ بيختلف. هاي المنر ايش اللي بيحصل في كل منهم؟ انه د في اغلاق وبعدين في ريليس. لكن ز ز بيختلف، فيش اغلاق كامل. هنا في الد كومبليت كلوجر، ان ذا د كومبليت كلوجر followed by a release، اطلاق للهواء. ولكن ز فيش كومبليت كلوجر، فبالتالي يا جماعه they have the same place of articulation. لكن المانر، ايش المانر معناها؟ يعني ايش اللي بيحصل بالضبط، نوع الكلوجر كامل مش كامل وهلم جرى. Okay, so we start with the stops. Manner of articulation, we start with the stops. These sounds are produced. Stops اسمها stops. فبالتالي what is involved is a stop. So these sounds are produced by stopping the airstream. طبعا very briefly, then letting it go suddenly or abruptly. فجأة. P, B, T, D, K, G are all stop sounds. Okay, طبعا كلمات dime. Okay, voiced alveolar stop. Voiced alveolar stop. Okay, هذا الفول description يا جماعة. Voiced alveolar stop. D في dime. D voiced طبعا والveolar في D alveolar وstop من ناحية manner of articulation هو stop. إذا stops are those sounds that are produced by stopping the airstream. الفظهم كلهم. Okay, P, B, T, D, K, G. Closure, complete closure. Followed by release. K, G, T, B, T. Okay? P, B, T, D, K, G are all stop sounds. So what happens here? By stopping the airstream very briefly, then letting it go abruptly. نغلق وبعدين بنلغيها مرة واحدة. Okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, stopping the airstream. Good. These are stops. Next, we have fricatives. Fricatives يا جماعة طبعا الستوبس اللي هي الانفجارية ممكن نقول عنها. الفريكاتيفز احتكاكية، فيها احتكاكية، أصوات احتكاكية fricatives. عشان كده these sounds are formed by almost blocking the airstream and having the air push through the very narrow opening مش كومبليت يا جماعه، هي تقريبا مش بنمنع الهواء بالمره، لا فريكاتيف تعمل احتكاك، بيكون are formed by almost، قال لي almost تقريبا blocking، مش complete، قال لي complete blocking، لا مش complete blocked، مش complete blocked، no almost تقريبا، يعني بضل فرجه خفيفه جدا جدا. اوكي blocking the air stream and having the air push through the very narrow opening, thus causing the friction like noise. عشان كده بيعمل لك شوفوا. فبالتالي يا جماعه the set of sounds ف v th th s z sh j all these are fricatives. fricatives اصوات احتكاكيه. تمام يا جماعه؟ اوكي سو التعريف هي فوق يا جماعه. طبعا الش شب voiceless palatal fricative، اذا عملناها في الاول خلاص يعني قول الشارت احفظ الشارت وخلاص. اوكي voiceless palatal fricative بلاجا ج voiced. the difference between ش ج، ما هو كل اثنين توأم، نفس ال place of articulation والmanner of articulation، لكن voiced voiceless. نفس ال place والmanner لكن voiced voiceless. نفس ال place of articulation لكن المانر اوكي بيختلف. اوكي س ز س ز again س ز نفسه، ولكن المانر بيختلف. ش ج سوري نفسه ش اس ز the same place and manner، لكن voiced و voiceless بيختلف. اوكي كلهم توأمة، كلهم نفس المانر والبليس. what is different between each two انه اللي هو voiced and voiceless. اوكي اوكي let's go to affricates. let's go to affricates. what is affricates? what is affricates? نيجي للأفريكتس. These sounds are made by a brief stopping of the airstream with an obstructed release, which causes some friction. The initial sounds in chin and jeep. Okay, chin, ch, chin, ch, ch. These sounds are made by a brief stopping. stopping يا جماعة بتختلف عن هذه وعن اللي قبلها. Okay. fricatives هذه these are affricates. these are affricates. Okay. ch, ch, j, j. Okay. j, j. So these sounds are made by a brief stopping of the airstream with an obstructed release. obstructed release which causes some friction. بتعمل friction ده بالكم. هاي الفرق انه بتعمل friction تختلف عن اللي قبلها. في الستوبس. الستوبس يا جماعه are produced by stopping the airstream very briefly then letting it go abruptly. ب ت د. المشكله هنا الفرق انه ستوبس فيش فيها friction. تعمل closure وشو يعني ايش؟ لكن هناك تش انه فيها friction. الافريكتس are made by a brief stopping of the airstream with an obstructed release. حتى الريليس obstructed. اهم شيء اتش ج. الريليس نفسه obstructed مش الريليس حر. اوكي فالريليس بيكون مش الهواء بيطلع وهو حر، بيطلع برضه في obstruction. Right, so affricates, these sounds are made by a brief stopping of the airstream with an obstructed release which causes هذا obstructed release. This is very important. obstructed release يعني معناته اطلاق الهواء بيكون فيه لسه ايش؟ في اغلاق، الهواء بيطلع وهو لسه مغلق مش مفتوح، مش زي با با تفتح تمك على الاخر بيطلع الهواء، لا بتقول مثلا ج ج ج، فبالتالي الريليس بيطلع ولسه في عندك obstruction. اوكي فهذا this causes some friction. هذا بينتج عنه friction. اوكي friction اللي هو احتكاك. اوكي. اللترز يا جماعه هي التش والج، لانه في كلوزر. دير بالكم هذه ها تي وجنبها الشيء. اوكي، فبالتالي تش ج اتش and edge. These are the affricates. Affricates. Okay, these are the affricates. Okay. Next, nasals. Nasal sounds, very easy. Nasal sounds, very easy. These sounds are made by lowering the velum. Soft palate, يا جماعة. In the production of nasals, what happens here is that the velum is lowered. تنزل الفيلم. And the airstream is allowed to flow out through the nose. That's it. الفيلم تنزل. Okay? There are 3 nasal sounds in English. M, in, and ing. M, in, and ing. They are all voiced. Okay? طبعا voiced by labial nasal M، وهذه اللي هو night الN voiced alveolar nasal, and ing voiced velar nasal. Okay? The nasals very easy. Again, what happens is that the velum is lowered. The velum is lowered, allowing the airstream to go up, okay, or to flow out through the nose. فبالتالي الأصوات nasal sounds. Okay? Liquids are the initial sounds in lead and reed. So they are L and R. They are different, by the way. Liquids زي السائلة. Okay? Liquids. They are liquid sounds. They are liquid sounds or liquids. Okay, so liquids in Arabic we can call them أصوات مائية. Okay? The initial sounds in lead and reed are described as liquids. Okay? L, R, L. So what happens here? The L sound is called a lateral liquid, and is formed by letting the airstream flow around the sides of the tongue. بمر بالهواء من جانبين اللسان. Again, we have L, we have lateral liquid, and we have retroflex. Retroflex is the R. Okay? So L is called lateral in terms of what? Manner of articulation. L is both are liquids, but we have lateral liquid, L. So this is formed by letting the airstream flow or go around the sides of the tongue. من جانبين اللسان. Lateral liquid, lateral. However, in the R sound, this is called retroflex and is formed with a tongue tip raised and curled back near the alveolar ridge. Okay? And that's why it is called retroflex. Retroflex. What happens is that it is formed with a tongue tip طرف اللسان raised and curled back ملتف back near the alveolar ridge. Okay? Retroflex. Is there anything else to talk about or to say about liquids? Okay. Okay, so if we would like to talk about the place where the contact is made, it would be okay. It will be okay. Okay. That's enough. So lateral liquid and retroflex. You have to be able to describe it. The sound is called retroflex and is formed with a tongue tip raised, tongue tip طرف اللسان, and curled back near the alveolar ridge. Retroflex. Liquids. مائية. Okay. Next. Okay, so it makes a contact with the alveolar ridge. Good. What is next? This is nasals, liquids. We here have the glottal stop. Yeah, the glottal stop. Good. This is a glottal stop. This is a glottal stop. Good. One backward. No. Glides, nasals, liquids. Sorry, we still have before. Yeah. Manner of articulation, nasals, liquids. Done. Glides. Good. What are the glides? Glides. Glides in Arabic الأحرف المتزحلقة. Okay, these sounds are typically produced with a tongue in motion. With a tongue in motion. That's to say gliding or moving to or from the position of a vowel and are sometimes called semi-vowel. إذا يا جماعة هذا الحرف اسمه متزحلق لأنه يعني when it is produced in motion or while it is moving to or from the position of another vowel or of a vowel. Okay, to or from the position of a nearby vowel. لما بنلفظه بيكون يعني إما رايح أو جاي من عند vowel فبالتالي بيسموه semi vowel. Okay, so these sounds are typically produced with a tongue in motion. بيكون اللسان بيتحرك gliding, moving, this is in motion. To or from, يا إما من رايح أو جاي ناحية وين؟ The position of a vowel. من عند vowel. من عند حرف علة. And are sometimes called, that's why they are semi-vowels, semi-vowels or approximants. The tongue moves to or from the position of a nearby vowel. بيكون رايح أو جاي من عند اللي هو a nearby vowel. حرف علة جنبه قريب منه. Like what? The sounds of what? Y, yes, yeah. This is yeah. You see? Yeah. So it seems like it is moving to or from what? A nearby vowel. Okay? These are described as glides. بتتزحلق ناحية glides. They are both voiced. W and y. U, e, مش الإي أو no, it's yeah, like the word yes, yeah. So it seems like فيها حرفين كأنك بتلفظ حرفين انت ماشي ناحية حرف vowel. Okay, و. So voiced by labial glide and voiced palatal glide. Voiced palatal glide. So these are the glides. Okay, good. Let's have a look here. Glottal stop. I think this is the last. Yeah. Glottal stop represented الهمزة على فكرة glottal stop in Arabic. Okay, let's have a look. Occurs when the space between the vocal cords glottis is closed completely. Be careful. If the space between the glottal stop is open, we produce okay? Glottal sounds, but glottal stop. So the two vocal cords are, okay, are what? Closed. They are completely closed. So glottal stop, that's why it is glottal from the glottis, the space between the two vocal cords. Stop means closed. بده يكون مغلق the space between the two vocal cords. So represented occurs when the space between the vocal cords, the glottis, the two vocal cords, is closed completely, very briefly, and then released. Like it is used by Scottish speakers and New Yorkers. Scottish speakers and New Yorkers in London speech, they pronounce a glottal stop in words like button. هو يا جماعة الهمزة الهمزة button. التي double T بس بقول عنها button. Okay, bottle, the button. Okay, butter, it's the bar. Okay, button. هي همزة. Okay, in Arabic هي ما فيش حرف معين لكن these two sound, this sound is sometimes produced like New Yorkers, like the some Scottish speakers, button and bottle. So this is the glottal stop. And once it is a stop, it means that the two vocal cords are closed completely. Okay, button. Okay, butter, similar to butter in American English. This is a flap. This is a flap. Okay, which is represented by d or r. D, d. Again, butter, similar to butter. So double T, butter, butter, butter. Okay, butter, butter, similar to butter. In American English, this is a flap. What is the flap? Okay. Later on here, this is the flap, which is represented by d. This flap is produced by the tongue tip being thrown against the alveolar ridge for an instant. Again, so the tip of the tongue is making contact with the alveolar ridge. The alveolar ridge. Batter, batter, for an instant. T and d. T and d between vowels are usually flapped. This is the idea. Again, this is the most important thing. The letter T and D between vowels, when they are between vowels, okay? Have a look here. U, E, ba, between T, this is T. It falls between U and E. D, it falls between U and E. So this is the idea. Whether it is T or da, okay, when they are between vowels, are usually flapped, so that in casual speech, ladder and ladder, okay? This is ladder, this is latter. Like in casual speech, they are pronounced the same, okay? Ladder and ladder, ladder. So the T here is pronounced like D. This is the flap, okay? D, D, flap, ladder, okay? So T and D, when they are T and D, when these two sounds are or when they fall between two vowels, okay, this flap occurs, okay, like what? Like rider and rider, okay, rider and rider, okay. We have T, which is between I and E, so it becomes like D. It becomes like D, okay, like the rider, the rider, the rider. You see the idea? And metal and middle. This is middle, 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 middle and middle. This is metal, of course, but because it is between two vowels, so the T is flapped. The T is flapped. It means that it becomes like D. It's middle, middle, like middle. Yeah, it is metal, of course. And metal and middle do not have distinct middle consonants. Okay, so flaps in general. So if you pronounce the word butter as butter, butter, then you are making a flap. Double T. It's not double T. It's T. It's T. The letter T. The letter T. The letter T. Okay. It is the letter T. When we pronounce the T as D, it's butter. When do we use it like D? When it falls between two vowels, okay? Then you are making a flap. So this is the idea. It is represented by D or sometimes by R. This sound is produced by the tongue tip tapping, okay? Making contact, tapping. So it is produced by the tongue tip tapping, making contact with the alveolar ridge. طبعا briefly, okay? So no difference between the words ladder and ladder, okay? Ladder and ladder, because this is a flap. This is a flap. What are the two ways to pronounce the word bottle, okay? Bottle, bottle. No, this is bottle, okay? Bottle, bottle, bottle. This is bottle. The word bottle or button, button. Okay, so this is bottle or bottle, bottle or bottle, bottle or bottle. D. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Okay, if I think it's a good idea actually to try place of articulation. Good. these are other. Good. So thank you very much. Thank you. Until we meet again in the next class, inshallah. In the next class, I'm going to talk about vowel sounds.